Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Tubes Time. I am Jessie, and today I'm going to share with you one of my very favorite simple recipes that I like to use when trying to get rid of any sourdough discard starter that I have laying around in my fridge, and I really just need to use it up before it becomes too sour tasting. So this recipe is for sourdough discard crackers, and you can change it up by adding any herbs that you might have around or any flavor that you want to add to it. Super simple, doesn't take a lot of time, so follow along to see how I make these delicious crackers. All you need for this recipe is at least 1 cup of your sourdough discard starter. And I like to actually, usually if you keep yours in the refrigerator, it'll be separated like this. I like to pour off the liquid and then just use the flour below it. So that's what I'm gonna do. But the recipe only calls for at least 1 cup, the sourdough discard. So I actually have right at about 2.5 cups. So I'm gonna double the recipe. Then all you will need is some flour, some salt, butter, and whatever herbs you may be wanting to add to your crackers. My favorite is rosemary.
All right guys, now it is time to start mixing our ingredients. First, you will pour your sourdough discard into your bowl. The recipe does call for 1 cup. I did double this recipe. Then you'll need 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And then you'll add salt, about 1/2 teaspoon. Next up is butter. The recipe does call for 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter at room temperature, just because it's easier to slice. Then you'll want to mix all of those ingredients together as best you can to form your dough ball. I do find that your hands work better when mixing. It is very sticky at first, but you'll just want to keep working with it until it becomes really nice and feels like a complete ball with an even texture. Usually takes me about 5 minutes to finish mixing it all. Really messy hands. Then you want to grab some herbs that you either purchased or, like you see here, I went and grabbed some from my herb garden on my porch. This is rosemary that I decided to add. You'll want to rinse and then chop your herbs. The recipe does call for 2 tablespoons of the herbs that you chose, so it doesn't take a whole lot to make a big impact on the flavor. Once you have finished chopping the herbs up, then you'll want to add them to your dough ball. Just sprinkle them on top, and then you can mix them in by hand. I just squish them into the dough several times and try and get them evenly mixed in just by keeping on pressing and moving the dough around. Just try and enjoy the process. It can actually be quite fun and relaxing to mix dough up. Here is what the final texture should look like when you're done mixing. Then you're gonna want to get your plastic wrap and break your dough into 2 pieces. Just half it, and then you'll want to wrap it up in that plastic wrap, each piece, and then put it into your refrigerator to cool for approximately 30 minutes. While you're waiting, you can get caught up on washing your dishes. There are always a lot of dishes when you're messing with flour and making any type of dough. So just try and relax, wash the dishes, and also start preheating your oven to 350 degrees while you're letting the dough cool. Once the dough is finished cooling, remove it from the refrigerator, and then put some flour down on your working surface. I just use my all-purpose flour that I use for baking. Unwrap the half of the ball that you had folded up in plastic wrap. Now you're gonna wanna press down and make as good of a rectangle as you possibly can while rolling the dough. It may not be a perfect rectangle, it just needs to be able to fit onto a baking sheet later on. You wanna try and get it to about 1/16 inch thick, which is pretty thin, as you can see here. Now you'll want to put that thin sheet of dough onto parchment paper and then drag it onto a baking sheet. Then you are ready to begin slicing your crackers. One of the best ways I've found to do this is with a pizza cutter. You can use a knife, but the pizza cutter does work well. As you can see here, mine wasn't a perfect rectangle, so I had to clean it up a bit on the edges. Then you will just want to take the pizza cutter or a knife and slice the crackers as evenly as possible into squares or rectangles. I did end up taking a knife and cleaning up some of my edge cuts to make sure they were sliced all the way, and then I wouldn't have one really large cracker on the ends. Then you can just take a fork and you can put holes into the crackers themselves, and this just prevents the crackers from puffing up too much. Next, you're gonna wanna grab your favorite oil and just spritz it over the top or brush it onto the top, whichever you have. That was just a Pam olive oil I had on hand. Now your crackers should be ready to go in the oven. Make sure to do your other half of your dough ball the exact same way where they can bake at the same time. Usually takes about 20 minutes before baking is complete. But once they are finished, you will have some delicious sourdough discard crackers that you can share with your family and friends. I like to serve them with cheese and pepperonis, or really I can just eat them all by themselves. They're just that delicious.
Well, that is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please subscribe to our channel for more future content. Also, I would love to hear from you in the comments. If you did make the crackers, let me know how they turned out or what herbs you may have added to them. God bless you guys. See you next time.